Did you know that there are two different types of bias? First, we have conscious bias. In this case, the person committing the bias believes in it and is consciously acting on it. And then we have unconscious bias. In this case, the person does not believe in the bias, yet the bias acts or operates outside the person's control. For a moral person, this type of bias is harder to spot and control. Dear friends, allow me to tell you a story that actually happened back in the mid-90s, which demonstrates a typical case of unconscious bias. My family and I were visiting some friends in New Jersey. When it was time for us to leave, our friends suggested that we leave our kids with theirs so they can play together while we head to our appointment. We agreed and listened carefully as our friend gave us clear directions to our destination. As my husband was backing up from the driveway, our friend said, "By the way, whatever you do, do not miss the last turn. Otherwise, you'll find yourself in Harlem." And then he added, "Well, if this happens, don't worry. We'll adopt your kids." Ha ha ha. Neither my husband nor I laughed at this stupid joke. Off we went, and what do you know? Of course, we did miss the last turn and ended up in Harlem. I was actually delighted to find myself there, as I'm a big fan of the artists, writers, and poets of the Harlem Renaissance. So, during pauses in the ongoing fight I was having with my husband for missing the turn, I was actually looking around in awe and thinking, this is where Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, and James Baldwin, and many more of my favorite writers and heroes have actually lived and produced their body of work, which helped launch the civil rights movement. And then I saw him. A tall, buff young man standing with a group of friends under the awning of a store for shelter as it was raining heavily. He noticed me too and started gesturing at me. First, I thought he was just waving, so I just waved back and didn't think much about it, and turned to this traffic light, hoping that it would turn green so we can go on our way. But the light stayed red, and the young man kept gesturing at me in a way that now I understood that he wanted me to open my car door. Panic took over and started flowing in my bloodstream. And remembering our friend's stupid joke, my heart started beating faster than Usain Bolt. So I turned to my husband and asked him to speed away quickly, but he just pointed to the traffic light and the row of cars ahead of us. Fear was in control, and it made me turn right to check on the young man. And suddenly, a loud scream filled the car, which startled my husband and myself. Apparently, it came from my own throat when I turned around and I saw that the young man is standing right next to my car window and now gesturing to unlock the car door. Thankfully, at the same moment, the lights turned green and the cars ahead of us started moving, and so did we, leaving behind a clearly angry young man who I could still see in the side mirror, gesturing at me and probably cursing too. So, after a couple of prayers thanking the Lord for our safety and a couple of attempts to find our destination, we finally arrived. My husband opened his car door and got out and asked me to follow him quickly as we were late for our appointment. I tried to open my car door to get out, but it didn't budge. I tried again, pushing it with my shoulder, but no luck. So I started looking around to see what the problem was, and then I saw it. I had locked my car door on the heavy winter coat I was wearing. And then it all dawned on me. The young man in Harlem wasn't trying to mug us. He wasn't trying to open my door by force. He was just trying to be a good Samaritan and help save my coat that by now was all soaked up in mud and dirty street water. Now, this incident has been a true life-altering lesson for me. It taught me two important things. First, that I might genuinely think of myself as a good person and an anti-racist. Yet, I'm still capable of unconsciously committing an act of racism. Two, this also applies to all my other beliefs. So despite of always trying to be on the right side of the moral line, I could still commit acts that could be considered anti-feminist, anti-Semitic, xenophobic, and even Islamophobic. Finally, and despite of being truly ashamed of my behavior that day, I repeat this incident to my friends and acquaintances for two reasons. First, as a true apology, indirect apology to the young man whom I clearly offended when I succumbed to stereotypical ideas. And two, to remind myself and all of us that we need to work hard to avoid unconscious bias and create a safe society and just society for all our fellow humans. Thank you very much.